The impact of the New Orleans attack is being felt all over the country and the world tonight, just days after it unfolded. And one West Michigan man and his family were there when it all happened, and they described it as a war zone. News 8's Adriana Doria spoke with him about his experience. She joins us in studio with a preview. Adriana?
Yeah, Brian, Kenneth Berman lives in Whitehall and was spending his New Year's Eve in New Orleans with his family like so many were. He and his daughter were walking along Bourbon Street and decided to go back to their hotel room just under a block away from Bourbon Street around 1 a.m. Berman told me his wife and daughter had fallen asleep, but he was still awake when he heard gunfire. He served in the Army and said it was his gut instinct to go out and help in any way he could.
As soon as I heard that, my job was to get out there and help. And so that's what I took off to do. And I'm definitely not a hero. I know a bunch of those guys, but all I could think is if I can save one person, if I can help one person, if I can calm one person, you know, that was my hope and my intent.
Berman said when he ran out to help anyone, officers stopped him to secure the scene, but they appreciated his willingness to help. Hear much more about his experience throughout our newscast tonight and the full story tonight at 10 and 11. Brian.
All right, Adriana, thank you. And stay with News 8 for continuing coverage of the New Orleans terrorist attack. We'll have a closer look at the investigation so far. That's still ahead at 5:30.
New at 5 o'clock, the attack in New Orleans is bringing forth a lot of discussion about crowd safety.
News 8's Demetria Sanders spoke with a local security expert about what can be done to protect people.
An expert we spoke to says there were certainly some holes in security in New Orleans, making it easier for the tragedy to take place. And he says there are ways communities can better prepare. As Bourbon Street reopens and law enforcement continues their investigation, across the country, people are looking at what measures were in place as Shamsuddin Jabbar plowed a pickup truck through crowds, killing at least 14 and injuring dozens, celebrating the new year.
Certainly, definitely a security failure.
Jason Russell is the founder of Secure Environment Consultants and a former Secret Service agent. He says for events like the Super Bowl, plenty of security assets are used, but that's usually not the case for softer targets.
An event that isn't nearly as secured like what we saw on New Year's Eve, you know, I'm more likely to have success. Those tend to be softer targets and more attractive for a terrorist.
He says if there are large gatherings of pedestrians, it's crucial vehicles can't access the area.
Because we know that vehicles are being used more and more as an attack mechanism, as we saw, you know, not even a month ago in Germany.
Russell adds that the biggest barrier when it comes to security is oftentimes belief.
Often we just don't believe those things will happen in our area. We don't believe they'll happen to us.
He says this can leave places vulnerable for an attack.
When we don't believe that somebody will drive up on the sidewalk to hit pedestrians, we don't put blocking elements on the sidewalk because maybe it's too expensive or maybe we just, you know, we don't have the resources to do it.
And although no two tragedies are exactly alike, Russell says it's important to have some level of preparation.
What are the risks that we can potentially predict, and are there ways we can mitigate those risks to reduce the likelihood? And some of that comes down to physical security, some of it comes down to training, some of it comes down to planning.
In Grand Rapids, Demetria Sanders, News 8.